Imagine that. If you lose 6-1 at home like Manchester United did, you're probably guaranteed to be top of the sports bulletin, but it got even crazier after that.
I mean, how relieved would Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have been when he saw that Liverpool, the champions, got absolutely thrashed last night? What is going on? All I would say is I feel a little bit sorry this morning for Aston Villa fans, because can you imagine the atmosphere if they'd actually had the fans in last night? I mean, the Premier League has given us some remarkable results since it resumed, but nothing quite like what we saw at Old Trafford and Villa Park yesterday. Two extraordinary games, as Alex Gulgerani reports. Details of all the weekend's games are on the BBC Sport website, including the Scottish Premiership, where Rangers are still 1 point ahead of Celtic at the top after both enjoyed 2-0 wins. Rangers at home to Ross County, Celtic. Not Outlaws are the new T20 Blast champions after they beat Surrey at Edgbaston. Bad weather meant the match was reduced to... Britain's Lizzie Dagan has won the women's Liège-Bastogne-Liège cycle race. She's now won 2 of the major one-day races known as Monuments, and no crowds, of course, at the London Marathon. But there was no shortage of drama racing yesterday. Lou, how did it go?
I wouldn't say I was racing.
OK, running.
And walking. It was brilliant. My friend Rob Rinder.
Everybody who ran yesterday.
Yeah.
We both feel your pain.
If you're feeling pain this morning, you're...
I mean, you got a bonkers video from the World Karting Championships to show us later as well.
Bonkers is the only way to describe it, so keep watching, everybody. That's coming right at the end. But we're going to start with what was one of the most remarkable days in Premier League history. Champions Liverpool were hammered 7-2 at Aston Villa. Rangers are still 1 point ahead of Celtic at the top of the Scottish Premiership after both enjoyed 2-0 wins. Rangers at home to Ross County and Celtic. Arsenal went back to the top of the Women's Super League thanks to a 3-1 victory over Bristol City. They'd gone. Bristol earned a place in Rugby Union's Premiership playoffs after their bonus point win over London Irish and Bath's failure to beat Saracens. The English golfer Mel Reid said she has redeemed herself after winning her first title on the American tour. Rafa Nadal is looking good for a 13th French Open title. He's into the quarter-finals after beating Sebastian Korda. Nadal has won this tournament for the last 3 years. I told you about this. Dan mentioned it. Are you ready for shocking scenes at the Karting World Championship final at the Lonato circuit in Italy? Luke for life.
That is incredible. I've seen that footage of the fight afterwards, and he's 23,
yep.
And the little kid is 16.
16. Yeah,
and
16.
he just charges at him and then starts throwing punches.
And it's a shame, isn't it? Because, you know, that he could have a potential career, but as Jenson Button's saying, how do you come back from that?
You can't do that. He could have killed someone, couldn't he?
Absolutely.
Throwing that bump on the track.
One more story for you. There was an altogether better atmosphere on the day that 45,000 amateur runners were due to take part in the London Marathon, with only professionals competing in London. Speaking of raising money for charity, how did you do?
I went very slowly, but I did.
But you finished.
I did complete.
You did.
Because you did the charity challenge with him, didn't you?
In Namibia. So last time we were running together, it was 48 degrees.
Slightly different.
Yeah. We got wet feet. Anyway, well done to everybody who did it. It was an incredible thing to do, actually. Even if we weren't surrounded by those crowds, it was lovely.
And you are a little worse wear this morning. Louise, right across everything. With a bit of tennis as well to balance other days.
By magic.
We're not talking about Rafa. We're talking about these two. Oh, my goodness. I wonder what it's like for both of these chaps to wake up this morning and for that penny to... You know that moment before you realise what happened yesterday?
Yeah.
And then to remember.
Exactly.
Really, really tricky day. The Premier League has thrown up some remarkable results since it resumed. But what we saw at Villa Park and Old Trafford yesterday was simply extraordinary. Champions Liverpool were humiliated 7-2 by Aston Villa manager. It's worth mentioning, transfer window closes tonight at 11 o'clock. Lots of Manchester United fans will be watching the next few hours closely. They've got 13 hours, potential signings coming in, or maybe actually not as many as they would like.
Wow.
Change the headlines by spending a lot of money.
Yes.
Thank you,
Sal.